Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Ian Parkinson, and I have with me today the Chief Executive Officer of Unison at the Viner Center, Larry Matheson. Welcome back, Larry.
Thanks for having me again. I'm glad to be here.
So April is Volunteer Month, and I get the distinct impression the vast number of people at the Viner Center and the Kirby are volunteers.
We have a good number. Last month we were talking about kind of some of our specialized program volunteers, driver volunteers, that type of thing. But yeah, overall in Viner Center, I'd say probably today there's probably over 280 volunteers that help us in some capacity, either in the programs or reception or signing people up or you name it. So a good amount for sure.
It's a broad spectrum of, you not only offer a pile of programs, but there's this huge opportunity for volunteers to do something different as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there's a pretty wide spectrum, but some people also come to us. They have a particular skill set, a profession, a hobby, or whatever that they bring, and we have a lot of volunteers. Sometimes we don't even count those volunteers as volunteers, but they may come and do a special type of class or a special kind of recreation that they have unique skills and they can offer it to us for sure.
Well, I was wondering too, because you mentioned last month that you were looking at doing Unison TV.
Yeah.
So you're going to be looking for volunteers with, for better word, multimedia experience.
Yeah, and again, it's on the tech side or the production side of Unison TV is like we need expertise, but also on the content side. Like we have a lot of. Yesterday we had a group of realtors who kind of specialize in downsizing, and so that's something that we could do classes or presentations or on-air presentations that our users might be interested in, but none of our staff have that expertise. We have to kind of go find it in the community. And some of those people come to us because it's like, well, I have this expertise I can lend to older adults, and you have access to these older adults, right?
It's almost like the human library that the public library uses. I need somebody that's an ex-civil engineer to help me design this bridge across the creek.
Yeah, and there's almost no end of subjects that are interesting or important to older adults that there's a content expert on. And so actually our team was there's a researcher at McGill who is specializing in creatine, which is a supplement that has been around and researched forever, but there's a lot more research that shows that it might have impacts on brain health or in Alzheimer's. And so anyway, in pre-pandemic world, you wouldn't think we should call that guy and see if he'll do a Zoom for us. But now we do think of that because, here's an expert that we can get access to in Canada, but he's actually the world's expert in this. So
well, and not only that, it's less expensive too because you're not paying for transportation, hotels, and meals, and speaking fees, and all this stuff. It's just like boom, and he can do it from his living room.
Yeah, for sure. And
the downsizing, I'm getting a little away from the volunteer thing, but the downsizing seems to be becoming more apparent, and having attempted it twice and failed miserably, I think again because the boomers are now virtually, if not out of the workforce, the boomers who are 25 years older than I am are the ones who are looking at moving out of the house into either an apartment, a condo, or a nursing home.
Sure.
And this downsizing is not as easy as it sounds.
No, you tend to collect a lot of stuff. I mean,
Well, there's a lot of emotion tied behind that stuff too.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So you know that we run a monthly newspaper, and in the newspaper we have a number of advertisers who run businesses that are specifically for older adults. And one of the growth areas that we've seen is actual agencies that help people with this downsizing,
Yeah.
and not just realtors, and definitely realtors that specialize in this area, but there are these small companies that help people. Well, how do you do an estate sale? How do you do a garage sale? How do you do this? How do you get rid of this? Who will take this? And actually, those people are advertisers with us, but they also provide us content by doing these classes, both in person and virtually, to help people figure out, well, how do I do this? And
Well, yeah, it's the same. The Viner Center and Kirby. I mean, you offer some very, for a better word, technical information, like from downsizing through wills and estates, through personal care. It's in they call it the green folder that's on top of your fridge. Right. And then, you've got fraud prevention, you've got meals and nutrition.
yeah.
I mean, is there anything Unison doesn't do?
Well, there's a lot of things that we think we need to do still.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably almost an unlimited number of areas that we could get into, so to speak. But I think the likelihood of us developing the staff expertise in all the areas we need it's probably unlikely. And so we are definitely more and more reliant on more and more volunteers, but also in volunteers with a broader and broader expertise and skill set and so on.
Yeah, because the other issue is, you can, in quotation marks, hire a lot of volunteers, but if you don't keep them busy, they wander off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there has to be like an engagement plan, I suppose, because it's great to have the expertise, but unless you can kind of actualize it and somehow use it, it's not doing anybody any good, for sure.
Yeah. So if somebody's recently retired or soon to retire, and is looking at applying their skills as a volunteer, how did they get a hold of the Unison Center?
Well, obviously the emails and the phone lines. We do have actually a lot of people reaching out to us now on our socials. So everything from Facebook and IG to YouTube and connecting in that way. Our newspaper as well, for sure. We have people who we're looking right now actually for writers, because most of our writers in the newspaper donate that.
Yes.
So it's a very varied group, for sure.
And you provide, for a better word, help, support, knowledge and information across a lot of different platforms. You've got newspapers, personal, volunteers like the Meals on Wheels, the Vintage Transport, and now you're moving into Unison TV after your experience with Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm impressed you can keep track of all this.
When I started the organization, we had a website that it's kind of the 80s called They Want Their Website Back, and we offered at that time probably about 120 classes and courses a year, or support groups and classes, and a growing number of people were registering on our website, which was atrocious.
Yeah.
And so definitely we learned the hard way. It's like you have to keep up with technology, but we also know that those technologies will also fade.
Yeah.
Like there's a limited runway on our newspaper. At some point, it'll be, you know, completely digital. And so you have to kind of shift. And wasn't, you know, a couple months back we did our Christmas holiday fundraising campaign, and every year we do that. You know, before 2019, almost every donation that we got was a check in the mail.
Yeah.
And people would cut out the buck slip on our newspaper and fill it out and mail it in with a check. Well, now every year more people are donating online.
Yeah.
And actually now we do a QR code on our, in the newspaper, on our website and everything. Well, this year we had a real pickup on people donating through that QR code, which like 3 years ago we couldn't get people to use the QR code, period. Whereas now it's like, oh, a lot of donations came up on that QR code. And so definitely there's that shift. And we still get a number of checks in the mail, which we love, because there's something nice about getting an envelope in the mail, especially if you're a charity that has a check in it. But more and more of that is EFTs and digital and so on. But
yeah, I'm starting to feel old.
Me too. Me too. But I mean, the thing about our volunteers, I'm talking about skill sets, but like there's a lot of the basics of our operation are it's volunteer STEAM. And so in Medicine Hat alone, not even kind of the surrounding area, but just Medicine Hat, last year, if we had to replace the hours that volunteers gave us, we would have had to hire 15 full-time people to work the whole year.
Wow.
So that would like effectively double our manpower. And your payroll. And our payroll, yeah. So which we don't necessarily want to do. And so it just kind of gives you an idea of the scope. It's like volunteers really help us reach twice as many people in twice as many ways as we could.
Well, you've got contact with the volunteer for a start. Then you've got the volunteer who has contact with a client, who then the client has contact with maybe somebody else, and you know it comes full circle.
Yeah, well, full circle is a good way to describe it. Like I think our staff here at Viner think of our volunteers in maybe a slightly different way than a lot of charities do. And for example, many of our volunteers are also users of our service.
Yes.
Now, they may not use the service that they volunteer for. Chances are they don't. But they also are likely a donor to it.
Yeah.
And so we know that people who help us out, like we have volunteers of all ages, but we have a good proportion of older volunteers, probably than some other charities. But the other thing we know, we do polls with our volunteers a couple times a year, and we know that they get a lot of satisfaction out of the role. They get a lot out of it. And so we know we're in the business of community and reducing isolation. So even though someone may be a volunteer for us, we know that they are providing a service to somebody else, but we are actually providing a service to them.
Yes.
And we have to think of it. And part of the reason we talk about April as Volunteer Month is that's the month we do our volunteer brunch.
Yes.
But we do a barbecue in August, and we do a Christmas event, because we know there is so much that not only those volunteers do, but there's so much community building that we can do by keeping those volunteers deployed.
Well, yeah, and I mean, not only that, I mean, even if a volunteer is providing a service that they built their career on, they got the opportunity to learn other skills.
Yeah.
And then they're not just deploying them when they're volunteering with Unison.
Yeah.
Like these are skills they're using all day, every week.
Yeah.
And it just adds to the community support from there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess the other big issue is I mean, in these economically frail times, I mean, funding is an issue for what I can gather, for everybody.
I think it is a very challenging time. We've had some political and economic challenges for sure, and that's definitely affected the charitable sector for sure. And the platform is changing. There's not fewer nonprofits in Canada or in Alberta or whatever. There's more because there's more need out there.
Right.
But we're all we like to work together and collaborate, but at some level we're all struggling for the same funding kind of thing. But
yeah, there seems to be, the more groups need funding, the less funding is available for the groups that exist.
yeah.
Yeah, but that whole collaboration and interconnectedness seems to be growing because they call them navigation centres in Edmonton and Calgary for the homeless,
Sure. Yeah.
or the unhomed, or whatever they call them these days.
Yeah.
Whereas in the smaller communities like Matheson, Lethbridge, Red Deer, Fort McMurray, Airdrie, they're more, they call them navigation networks.
Yeah.
Where, okay, these are all the services we need, who provides it? And then you've got this checklist of, you need a ride, call the Vinus Centre, or you need meals, call the Vinus Centre, or you need a lawyer or a nurse. And I think your volunteers, I think, are a significant part of that. I'm not sure how to describe it. Basically an information hub. Yeah. I do Meals on Wheels, but I talk to the lady that does salsa dancing. You need exercise and you go try this, or you don't look well, I'm calling the ambulance.
Yeah.
Or maybe go and talk to this person who can, AJ's health cupboard, right?
Yeah.
On this, they're all watching each other, not being nosy, but taking care of each other.
Yeah, I mean, at multiple levels, I think collaboration is definitely a key for us all. And I think, we have a couple cases where we collaborate with other charities that are in the same space.
Yep.
Like they run senior centers, or for example, our social prescribing, we partner with the PCN. So we're
Yep.
reliant on the primary care network as the major referrer for that program, and it wouldn't work without that collaboration. A couple years ago, we have what we call our super members agencies in Calgary, and at the time, a small group of senior centers were having trouble kind of rebuilding after COVID. Yeah. Our membership were down, and our participation in groups, and we decided to kind of create a super membership where instead of buying membership to the 5 senior centers, you would get member benefits at all 5. And we worried that we might cannibalize each other.
Yes.
And the reality was, after a year, our memberships had all grown, but also our revenues from our user fees had also grown.
Oh.
And so it's like, well, we were worried that collaborating would harm our organizations, but it actually made us stronger. And now we actually have 13 senior centers in Calgary as part of that super member group. And so it's kind of one of those things that's a testament to, well, we collaborate because we think it's a good thing to do, but sometimes from a business perspective, it's a smart thing to do as well.
Well, and it does actually make sense, because it's occurred to me that if you've got anywhere from the 5 to the 13 super groups or super members, that then you can reduce redundancy.
Yeah.
Why should we do a transportation program? Vinus Centre already does it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And then you're not trying to find the funding for a program somebody else does.
Yeah. Yeah. And like our trips and stuff like that. It's like, a lot of the centers, the super member sites, do the travel trips, but you don't both schedule the same location, the same month kind of thing.
Yes.
But overall, we're doing more of those travel trips and more groups and more individuals. And I mean, at Viner Center, it seems like every time we do a trip, it's like, used to be, okay, we got to fill a bus. Well, now it's like, okay, we're going to fill 2 buses, or we're going to fill 3 buses. And so it's definitely, you know, it shows some strategic advantages to collaborating.
Yes.
Beyond it being a good thing to do, I guess.
Well, the trips make sense to me in so many different ways, because especially seniors, retirees, they have the time to travel. They're finally wanting to travel to somewhere they've wanted to go to for 40 years. Yeah. But for, you know, for health issues alone, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to try driving in downtown Paris. Right? But if I can sit on a 52-seat luxury coach,
sure. Yeah.
and get dropped off from door to door,
Yeah.
and look around,
Yeah.
and I mean, and the costs of your organized trips are very affordable for what you offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, it's an area where, you know, in Medicine Hat, a lot of the trips, this is an area where we mobilize volunteers too, because we have
Yeah.
a volunteer committee that kind of does a lot of the not only kind of the planning and so on, but they do a lot of the exploring, where should we go,
Yes.
kind of thing. But, you know, that type of thing, from soup to nuts, we'll run it. But there's also a lot of kind of for-profit potential collaborators that have a lot of incentive for us to say, okay, we want 50 spots in this
Yes.
in this ship, but we don't have the money to buy a ship, right? So it's kind of, there are enough of those partners that, again, and part of their business model does involve working with smaller operators and so on. And so it's, you know, it's a different skill set, I think, for our volunteers and our staff, but there's platforms to collaborate and to make something valuable to our members.
Yeah, and they seem to be more personalized style trips. They're not your, I forget what the word is, your common package tour.
Right.
That, you know,
Yeah.
Thomas Cook's has done for a century. It's, one of your volunteers that you remember, no, I went there 20 years ago. Don't stay there.
Yes, yeah.
All righty. Thank you for coming in, Larry.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.